I firmly believe that every human being is fluid in their sexuality. I don't believe that there is one straight person in this world who has never experienced a same-sex attraction, nor do I believe there's any gay person in this world who has not experienced an opposite sex attraction on some level. I do believe that human sexuality is a fluid spectrum. We are taught to make choices early, and we make those choices. It should be a natural process. It should be a natural gravitating to who you are and to what you are attracted to and what you love. It should be just that natural. But for a lot of people, it's not. And that's heartbreaking. There's so much trauma, so much damage within people. They weren't allowed to naturally gravitate to what was right and natural for them. I don't see LGBTQI plus rights as a separate piece, nor do I see civil rights and black rights and the rights of women. It's just the rights of American citizens in general. Because once you roll back the rights for one group, it opens the door to rolling back the rights for every group. And that's the danger. And then it becomes, who is the person in power or the group in power having the right to roll those rights back? It's a really scary time because I've never heard the hate language being used by politicians and celebrities and people with influence in my life ever. I've never heard that. In my 40 years on this earth, I've never heard politicians say some of the horrible things that are being said and being able to get away with it and being able to let this hit, the mainstream airwaves, to let people in parts of America that may not ever meet an openly gay person be influenced by those words, especially when you are black and brown in America. Because you're already grappling with a lot of oppression. You're already grappling with a lot of things that are far beyond your control. And to add one more thing to that, I think really makes it hard for a lot of people. The fact that suicide rates among black and brown people who are gay are so high, I think that's why. And I think that it's our work as elders in this community and as people who are allies or whatever you may be, to find a way to support them and surround them in love so that they're able to live the version of their life they feel best, whatever that may be for them. It breaks my heart, the amount of trauma that people suffered at the hands of the church. We're seeing politics get infused in the teachings of Christianity. That happened with King James. That happened in 1942. As they adjusted the language to fit their version of what they wanted it to be. So I look at that as like that was an interpretation that isn't real. Those aren't the teachings of Jesus Christ. Jesus did not teach that to his disciples. Those are the words of men who have interpreted over and over and over interpretations to give us their beliefs in this text. So when in the Bible it says man should not sleep with man, which is actually in Leviticus way back in the Old Testament, Jesus came to earth to do away with those laws and to do away with those rules, to give us a whole new existence on this earth. That's why he was sacrificed. I don't listen to hate speech. Whether that hate speech comes from a politician on a stage or if it's coming from a pastor in a pulpit, I don't listen to that and accept that as truth because I know that truth doesn't come from man. Truth comes from God. And when I hear these pastors and these people say things that are, again, hate speech from a pulpit, I know it's not the truth. All true faiths are based in love. And the actions of these people who claim to be of a religion, they're not of love. And so they're really not of that religion or those teachings. And it's hurtful, but then it makes me say, well, where are the people to counter that? What are we doing to do our part to fight against that? To show people the real teachings of Jesus Christ right here so that everyone comes together and everyone has a true place at the table and everyone truly belongs in this great country that we live in. If you don't have a faith, if you're not grounded in something or teachings that you can believe in, then when people present to you something to believe in that isn't good or that isn't love, you are inclined to believe it because what do you have to counter that? The resistance is absolutely strongest right before change. As hard as it is, we must continue forward and not look back and just keep moving. Society rewards the path of least resistance, and it's easier to follow mindlessly along what you're taught than to question, and it comes with so much less resistance. If I would have chosen to be like what society said boys should be, my life would have been significantly easier, but it would have been also significantly less rewarding. And to me, way less worth living in general had I made that choice. A choice-filled life is being able to be whatever you want to be. And it's a choice that you get to make. It's not made for you. It's not pushed on you. It's your choice. And that to me is the ultimate goal and the reason why we educate. You have to deconstruct those lessons of the past in order to get to the authentic nature of who you are and what it is that you really are here to do. But it's a process, and every action has an equal and opposite reaction. We have work to do to counter those opposite reactions. The truth about education is that it gives you options to live a choice-filled life. That is what education does. It doesn't guarantee success. It doesn't guarantee wealth. It doesn't guarantee happiness. It does guarantee you options that otherwise you would not have right now today. Every educator is an advocate for people. So as an educator who taught high school kids, I was an advocate for children. If I had a group of students, children who were coming to me from a traumatic place of self-hate because of their identity, whether it's their gender identity or their sexual orientation, I would begin with a lot of discussion and a lot of questions, because that's my teaching approach, to then begin the process of unlearning these things. Because you have to unlearn what you've learned if what you've learned is false. And hate is taught, and it is false. A good teacher will allow these students to be able to understand and deconstruct the parent who maybe taught them to hate, or the church who taught them to hate. Because they also have to see that parent from a lens of empathy. They have to see that church also from a lens of empathy. Because if we don't teach that too, those children will not move from hate to love. They're gonna move from hate to a different kind of hate. We have to help these kids learn how to love themselves, but also foster within them the ability to love those who hate them. That's the only way our society is gonna get better. TikTok in many ways is now like my largest classroom to date. So I went from having 30 kids a period in the class, maybe 230 kids a year, to now having millions of people all around the world be in my classroom for 60 seconds to learn something in that moment. If you're over 25, no one wants to see you dance on TikTok. No one wants to see that. They want to see you teach them. They're watching for value-added content. And they want to know, what have you experienced and what do you bring to the table? And that to me is like the power of social media. And I think it's the most effective means we have right now of communicating with people that we don't know. And if I made a TikTok that has an impact on one person, then I did exactly what God intended me to do. These platforms are still owned by people. People still work at them, and people come with their own biases. And a lot of LGBTQI+ creators are being suppressed and their content being shadow banned. And they're choosing certain creators to amplify and give a platform to, because they are appealing to brands that will bring in money for the platform. But the reality is that content creators should not let that discourage them too much. And anyone who's really committed to content creation for the sake of good work, whether it is to influence social justice causes or advocate for trans rights or whatever it may be, they need to know that they are the social media platform. The social media platform isn't them. The key takeaway is always love. And love is sacrificing of self for others in the greater good. It is always love. Everybody is born into love. I believe life is love, and the whole process is love, including death. It begins with love and it ends in love. It takes a whole lot more effort to hate than it takes to love. Right now we have factions of people who are determined to teach hate because it benefits them and it profits them in their agenda. And that's the only way their agenda is going to advance, is through hate. And we have to find a way to combat that. And that's why I'm so convicted in the use of social media as an educational tool, because that's the only way that I can see of doing my part to advance truth, which to me is also a subset of love. Shame is absolutely a light dimmer. And I want to see more people who have been taught to hate themselves or deny a big part of who they really may be, I hope that they can find a way to start letting that light shine out in little bits and little sparkles and little pieces, because that light is love. If God made you a certain way, He made you that way for a reason. And if you're not able to embrace that, then you're not fully realizing why you're here. And you're not really fully serving your purpose. Love, truth, faith, they're all the same thing. We have got to teach people how to love themselves. And so many people did not grow up with love in their lives or in their homes or what they thought it would be. And they've gone out and made a story of what it should have been. And once we can help people learn how to love themselves, accept themselves, that's the truth piece, and then know the story behind that love, which is a faith piece, then we can start growing and being a better society. I would hope that my great-great-grandchildren live in a world where love is the norm and hate is the abnormality. That is the ultimate hope. That's the ultimate goal, is that these social constructs like race and like gender and like sexual orientation, they don't even exist, because every single person gets to be an authentic, full human without labels. They are just who they are. That's the goal. But that can't be now because of the structures, and therefore we have to embrace the fact of being a member of these communities, so those communities can stand in solidarity and fight against the things that let us not be authentic. But that is my hope, that there won't even be an LGBTQI+ community, or a Black community, or a white community. There won't be any of that. It'll just be humans.